functioned as a temple during the time of Queen Cleopatra and the Greek pharaohs. So this could be the perfect place for Cleopatra's lost tomb.
The oldest tombs and lost graves. Unsolved mysteries of ancient Buria. Great rulers whose final resting places have become some of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. The tomb of Genghis Khan. One of the most famous lost graves belongs to one of the most feared conquerors in history, Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan and his family, and what they did. Dude, they killed 10% of the population of Earth while he was alive. They killed so many people that they affected the carbon footprint of human beings on Earth.
Before he died in 1227, he made a final, powerful request. It was not for a magnificent pyramid or a golden temple. It was for secrecy. He wanted to be buried in a way that his tomb would never, ever be found. His devoted army honored this wish with utmost authenticity. They killed anyone they met to ensure the route was hidden. And after his burial, 1,000 horses were ridden over the grave, erasing any trace of its location. And for over 800 years, their secrecy has held. No one has ever found the tomb of Genghis Khan. Historical accounts point to the sacred Burkan Khaldun mountain in Mongolia, but the exact location has never been confirmed. The reason for this secrecy, however, runs deeper than just protecting riches from looters. While many believe the tomb is filled with immense treasures, a vast collection of wealth from across the empire, for modern Mongolians, the mystery is a point of deep pride.
A place of legends, right? And there was one individual, he went to this mountain called the Burkan Khaldun. This guy Temujin would one day take on the name Genghis Khan. And in Mongolia, he's thought of as a hero, the great creator of not only their nation, but their religion, their spiritual leader.
They believe the tomb is a sacred space, a silent and undisturbed monument to a man who was more than just a conqueror. The West may remember him for what he conquered, but Mongolians remember what he created. He connected East and West, establishing religious freedom and creating a reliable postal service. He didn't just conquer the world, he civilized it. And that in itself is a legacy that needs no monument. And one Mongolian local once said with a quiet belief that, if he wanted us to find it, he would have left some sign. From a conquering Khan who vanished into history, we turn to a different kind of ruler, a pharaoh whose legacy is written in stone. Yet his final resting place remains a mystery. The tomb of Amenhotep I. So, in the times of ancient Egypt, some pharaohs stand out not just for their power. Their legacies are written in stone. Yet their final resting places are a total mystery.
Egypt is home to some of the world's most renowned mummies, which were discovered in Luxor's Valley of the Kings.
One such pharaoh is Amenhotep I, the second ruler of Egypt's 18th dynasty. He was a pharaoh of great ambition, known for rebuilding ancient temples that had fallen into disrepair and for pushing the boundaries of Egyptian influence into foreign lands. He was a celebrated figure in his own time and remained popular for centuries after his death. A special funerary cult was even established in his honor, a testament to the respect and admiration he commanded from the ancient Egyptians who followed him. In 1881, a monumental discovery was made in a royal cache at Deir el-Bahari, a secret burial site. Within this cache, a trove of mummies was found, including that of Amenhotep I. His mummy had been moved from its original resting place to protect it from grave robbers, and was carefully rewrapped and preserved by later priests. The discovery of his body was an incredible find, but it only deepened the mystery of his lost tomb. Scholars have long speculated that it must be somewhere in the vicinity of Thebes, the ancient capital, but the exact location has never been identified. Great Pyramids of Giza. And if the tomb of Amenhotep I is a mystery of a lost location, the Great Pyramid of Giza is an enigma of a different kind, a tomb whose location is known, but whose secrets are not.
Archaeologists and Egyptologists claim that they were tombs for the pharaohs, and yet no Egyptian pharaoh was ever found in a pyramid in Egypt.
Next, with the most iconic monument of ancient Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza held the title of the tallest man-made structure for nearly 4,000 years. Built for the pharaoh Khufu, it remains one of the most enduring archaeological enigmas in the world.
It's extraordinary that someone who has left us the Great Pyramid, which is still standing nearly 5,000 years after it was built, we still don't have that much of the man himself.
At its heart lies the king's chamber, with a large granite sarcophagus. There's a vessel inside that was meant for a king's final rest. But here's the first great mystery. The sarcophagus is empty. Were Khufu's remains ever placed inside? Did ancient grave robbers or later explorers steal his body? Or was the tomb never completed? No one knows for sure. And his resting place remains one of history's greatest disappearing acts. The pyramid is an architectural marvel, standing at over 146 meters tall, originally 481 feet, and composed of an estimated 2.3 million limestone blocks. The mysteries don't end there. How was this colossal structure built?
The Great Pyramid is a testament to ancient Egyptians' ingenuity.
The precision of its construction is a marvel. Scholars have proposed theories involving ramps and levers, but the level of engineering and astronomical knowledge required for its precise alignment with the cardinal points suggests a level of sophistication we still don't fully understand. And just when we thought we knew all its secrets, modern technology revealed another. Using tools like ground-penetrating radar, a large hidden void was discovered within the pyramid in 2017. Its purpose remains a mystery. Is it a hidden chamber? A new passage? The Great Pyramid, it seems, still has stories to tell and secrets to keep. Chambers and the pyramid's purpose. Despite centuries of study, many aspects of the pyramid's design, function, and the fate of Khufu's burial have yet to be fully explained. Tomb of Attila the Hun, Hungary. Now we move to the heart of Europe, where a conqueror's final resting place remains hidden. Attila the Hun, one of history's most feared conquerors, died in 453 AD. He was reportedly buried in 3 nesting coffins made of iron, silver, and gold. And he's one of the conquerors whose death was attributed by the Byzantine diplomat Priscus to severe bleeding during a marriage feast. Reports say he suffered severe nose bleeding during the festivities, and there's speculation he may have been poisoned by his new wife Ildiko.
So, was he poisoned? Did he die in his sleep? People want to blame somebody when something bad happens, and so you can imagine that when you walk in and you find your king dead and a woman cowering there, it would have been easy to have blamed her whether she did it or not.
Whose name suggests Gothic origins. Attila was leader of the Huns, a non-Christian people who lived on the Great Hungarian Plain, and who eventually took over a large swath of Central Europe. Attila was sometimes referred to as Flagellum Dei, in Latin, which is often translated as Scourge of God, but can also be Whip of God. He threatened, but didn't actually sack Rome and Constantinople. And Attila forced emperors to pay him vast amounts of gold in exchange for peace agreements that often didn't last long. Ancient sources describe his tomb as being constructed with great secrecy, and it is believed to be located near the Tisza River in Hungary. However, despite numerous searches, the exact location of his burial site remains unknown. Cleopatra's tomb, Egypt. Attila the Hun's tomb is lost to us, but so is that of one of the most famous women in all of history, the last queen of a powerful dynasty. In the world of pharaohs, queens, and legendary rulers, few figures stand as tall as Cleopatra, the last active ruler of Ptolemaic Egypt. She was a woman of immense power and charisma, whose life was as dramatic as any Hollywood script. She famously allied with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony in a desperate bid to save her empire. But her story ended in tragedy. To avoid the humiliation of being paraded through the streets of Rome by her enemies, she chose to take her own life. And after extensive researches, historical accounts suggest they were buried together in a temple dedicated to Isis, possibly near Alexandria. In 2010, Egypt's former antiquities minister, Zahi Hawass, led a series of excavations there, hoping to finally solve the mystery.
We believe that Cleopatra and Mark Antony were buried inside this temple. We did a survey by radar, and the radar showed 3 important anomalies.
The site yielded a number of tombs from the time of Cleopatra, and many interesting artifacts were discovered. But despite the extensive search, Cleopatra's tomb was not among them. The evidence simply wasn't there. The quest to find it continues. The fate of Cleopatra, one of the most famous women in all of history, remains one of ancient Egypt's most enduring archaeological mysteries. Tomb of Nefertiti. Like Cleopatra, Nefertiti was a legendary queen of Egypt. But her story has a different puzzle. Nefertiti is the great queen of ancient Egypt and wife of Akhenaten, one of the greatest kings of the 18th dynasty. Nefertiti wielded immense influence during a revolutionary period of history. She and her husband ushered in a radical change, moving Egypt's capital and creating a new religion centered on a single sun god.
We found that the mummy known as Elder Lady, this mummy, people said she could be Queen T because there is a hair found in the tomb of King Tut in a box. They took the sample of this hair and they analyzed that with the hair of this lady, and they said they're matching.
Nefertiti may have continued to reign for a couple of years after her husband Akhenaten's death. Afterward, however, the next pharaoh, Tutankhamun, restored polytheism to Egypt. Tutankhamun, popularly known as King Tut, was the son of Akhenaten and another wife. Nefertiti was his stepmother. Tut eventually married his half-sister, Ankhesenamun, who was Nefertiti's daughter. But as quickly as she appeared, Nefertiti vanished from the historical record in her final days. To this day, the location of her burial remains unidentified. But now, archaeologist Nicholas Reeves of the University of Arizona is leading a research team to find the tomb. He believed that she is buried near the tomb of her son, the golden pharaoh, Tutankhamun.
Originally, this entire wall was painted and decorated in order to make people think there was nothing further beyond.
The search for Queen's lost grave continues. A quest to find the final resting place. Tomb of Alexander the Great, Egypt. Next, we turn to another legendary figure, Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who created one of the largest empires in history.
350 AD, the history of Alexandria starts to go silent. There are no more descriptions of this beautiful royal city. Alexander's tomb goes missing.
By the age of 32, Alexander the Great had swept across Asia, conquering a region from the Balkans to Pakistan, and ruling over the biggest empire in the ancient world. Then in 323 BC, he died, and his empire fell like a house of cards. The ruler was felled by an illness in Babylon. His death was as dramatic as his life. Initially, Alexander's body was interred in the ancient Egyptian city of Memphis. But history is a sort of movement and change. At the beginning of the 3rd century BC, at the start of the new Ptolemaic era in Egypt, his body was moved. It was brought to the city that bore his name, Alexandria, where it was housed in a tomb that became a place of pilgrimage. The exact location of his tomb within Alexandria has been lost over time, and its whereabouts remain a subject of speculation. Tomb of Boudica. Alexander the Great's empire fell after his death, but few figures shine as brightly as Boudica, the warrior queen. She was the queen of the Iceni, a tribe of Britons who lived in what is now eastern England. Her name is forever linked to one of the bloodiest revolts against the might of the Roman Empire. The revolt was sparked by the death of Boudica's husband, the Iceni king. The Romans then claimed they were the sole heirs of the Iceni kingdom. But Boudica considered her daughters had inherited at least half of it. In a shocking act of brutality, the Romans dismissed her claim, ordered Boudica to be publicly beaten, and her daughters raped. After which Boudica launched her revolt. Several other British tribes joined her, and while the revolt was ultimately crushed by the Romans, the figure of Boudica became an English national hero in later centuries. She died after her final battle against the Romans in AD 61, possibly after taking poison to avoid being captured. It's rumored that her tomb may be in the Hampstead area of London, or possibly beneath a train platform at London's King's Cross station. Yet for all her fame, the location of her final resting place remains a mystery. The Tomb of Tutankhamun, Egypt. Next, we return to the Valley of the Kings, where one of the most famous tombs in history was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. The Tomb of Tutankhamun.
It was absolutely a magnificent discovery, it made headline news all over the world, and really sort of captured public imagination at just the right time.
Although the discovery was momentous, the mysteries surrounding Tutankhamun's life and death remain just as captivating today. Though the tomb contained extraordinary treasures, it lacked a royal nameplate, leading to theories about Tutankhamun's origins and how his tomb was prepared in such haste. Moreover, the so-called Curse of the Pharaohs surrounding his death continues to spark debate. The true cause of Tutankhamun's death remains a mystery, and the tomb's elaborate and hasty construction suggests there may have been unusual circumstances surrounding his burial. The Tomb of King Midas. From the Neolithic period, we move forward in time to the era of legends. In Turkey, at the site of Gordium, lies a large burial mound, believed by many to be the tomb of the legendary King Midas. At that time, Gordion was the capital of the Phrygian kingdom, which lasted from 1200 to 675 BC. In the 8th century BC, the kingdom was first ruled by Gordias, who was associated with the Gordian knot that Alexander the Great eventually cut, and then by his son Midas, who is famous for the story of turning everything he touched to gold. There is some debate over whether this is truly the tomb of the legendary King Midas, or whether it could belong to another royal figure from the same period. Moreover, despite the rich burial goods found inside, questions about the nature of Midas's legendary golden touch persist, as the myth has not been definitively linked to the historical figure. According to the myth, King Midas was granted a wish by the god Dionysus, and he wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. But where does this idea come from? Surprisingly, archaeologists haven't found much gold among the 40,000 artifacts uncovered so far at Gordion. Some jewelry, a few gold coins, and an exquisitely gilded carving of a sphinx. If there was gold in the city, it may have been looted over the centuries, or perhaps it's still hidden inside the 85 burial mounds yet to be excavated. But archaeologists think it's a metaphor, because under Midas's rule, Gordion became rich and powerful. The story became a metaphor for a person of great wealth. Even today, when we say someone has the golden touch, we mean a person who achieves wealth or success with ease. King Midas seems to have had that gift. The tomb of the Maya king Pakal. Having explored the mysteries of the ancient empires of the East and the West, we now shift our focus to Palenque, Mexico, where the tomb of King Pakal is located. It's one of the most important figures in the Maya civilization. It was discovered in the 1950s, hidden deep within the Temple of the Inscriptions. Pakal's tomb is famous for its elaborate sarcophagus, but it is the carvings on its lid that have captured the world's imagination.
The other thing is that the position, this person looks like they were just thrown down and their arm landed out over their head like this. You would never bury someone in that position. It looks like a very kind of violent act.
The carved lid of Pakal's sarcophagus has sparked widespread debate, with some conspiracy theorists suggesting it depicts Pakal traveling to space in a spacecraft. However, mainstream scholars agree that the scene is symbolic, representing Pakal's journey to the afterlife, a powerful visual of the king's transition from life to death. Yet the exact meaning of the carvings remains open to interpretation. The tomb of King Pakal remains one of the most mysterious and visually rich burial sites in the world. While modern archaeologists continue to decode its symbols, the exact meanings and connections to the afterlife continue to intrigue, making this tomb a lasting enigma in Mesoamerican archaeology. Nimrud Queen's Tomb, Iraq. Pakal's tomb is famous for its intricate carvings, but in the ancient lands of Mesopotamia, we find the Nimrud Queen's Tomb, discovered beneath the northwest palette of Nimrud.
We took everything out and we tried to sort it, and we discovered that we have here the bodies of at least 2 queens.
These burial sites were once home to the remains of royal women from the Neo-Assyrian Empire, their final resting places rich with artifacts, inscriptions, and treasures. However, these tombs have not come without their own mysteries. The tombs have been severely damaged by looting and wartime destruction, leaving behind only fragments of their once immense wealth. In some tombs, empty alabaster sarcophagi suggest that either the remains were moved or perhaps looted. While some queens have been tentatively identified, Queen Khama, Queen Yaba, and Queen Mulisu Mukanishat Ninua, the exact identities of those buried here remain uncertain. The tombs offer a rare glimpse into the lives and burials of royal women in the Assyrian Empire. Yet many questions remain unanswered. Qin Shi Huang's tomb, China. From the looted tombs of queens, we move to a tomb so dangerous that it remains largely unexplored. Now we'll move towards China, where we find the tomb of one of the most formidable figures in world history, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. His burial site, guarded by the world-famous terracotta army, is an architectural marvel, but the main burial chamber, where Qin Shi Huang is believed to rest, remains largely unexplored. Qin Shi Huang's tomb is rumored to contain not only his remains, but vast riches, including mercury rivers and underground lakes made of liquid mercury. Historical accounts suggest the emperor drank mercury in pursuit of immortality, and some believe his obsession with eternal life led to his premature death at the age of 49. Though researchers have uncovered significant details near the tomb, including a 16-ton coffin filled with lavish artifacts, many of the tomb's contents remain a mystery. The toxic mercury levels and the emperor's obsession with immortality continue to prevent a full excavation, making Qin Shi Huang's tomb one of the most enigmatic burial sites in history. Limestone tombs of Kamantik. While Qin Shi Huang's tomb is a marvel of engineering, there are other hidden ancient tombs in the jungles of Mount Macleao, near the town of Mulane in Quezon Province, called Kamantik Tomb. It is carved into limestone and believed to be the burial site of the ancient Tagalog nobility. Other archaeological sites from that period have been found with wooden coffins, earthen burials, and pottery jar burials. But carving limestone requires greater technological advancement. Metal tools had to have been used, and this is the earliest evidence of people using metal tools to carve limestone tombs found in the Philippines. Many of the tombs have been looted over the years, with sacred objects and bone fragments now scattered in private collections or museums worldwide. And the people in the nearby town of Mulane are very excited about this find. Despite the natural beauty of this area, the town of Mulane is nestled at the foothills of the mountain, with an uninterrupted 6-mile stretch of sandy beach along Tayabas Bay. With its historical significance, such as being the headquarters of the 16th century Chinese pirate Lim Hong, who buried his treasure here, the area's association with past conflicts between the army and the Maoist New People's Army has long overshadowed its potential. Beside this, the National Museum of the Philippines has been actively involved in preserving and studying the site to better understand the culture and history of the people who constructed these tombs. Silwan Necropolis, Jerusalem. And finally, from a site just beginning to reveal its secrets, we turn to an ancient cemetery of Silwan Necropolis in Jerusalem. An ancient Jewish cemetery carved into the rock during the Iron Age. The tombs at this site are believed to have been used by high-ranking officials. While inscriptions have been found, such as the royal steward inscription, which some scholars associate with the biblical figure Shebna, the full identities of many individuals buried in these tombs are still uncertain. Over the centuries, many of these tombs were repurposed for other uses, such as dwellings or cisterns. This alteration has led to a loss of original features and made the task of preserving and studying the necropolis more complex. Despite this, the Silwan Necropolis remains an important site for understanding the ancient history of Jerusalem and the people who once lived there. Though many of these tombs have been lost to the ages, their mysteries continue to intrigue and inspire. What secrets lie buried beneath the earth? What stories will the next generation of archaeologists reveal? These questions remain unanswered, but one thing is certain: these ancient sites still have much to tell.